What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. So we know the Carolina Panthers joint practices are coming up. There's a couple people that need to make sure that they show up and show out often, and a few matchups that'll be interesting to consider, right? So the Carolina Panthers, they're littered defensively with a bunch of strong talent. On the offensive side is a reset of sorts. Frank Reich just coming over as the head coach. He's mentoring the young Bryce Young over there, and you'd expect with the previous quarterback history of Frank and Bryce Young's natural talents that there would be an accelerated learning curve for Bryce in this particular environment, but it's not the strongest offense in the NFC by far, right? So we'd expect to have some advantages. Some of the players that we want to see show out, often is definitely going to be Allen Lazard. Now we've seen him come up with multiple red zone touchdowns, some big plays with Aaron Rodgers over the course of training camp, but he hasn't been consistent by any means. And I don't think he's blown anybody away to say he was a surefire, couldn't miss free agent pickup at this point in time, right? Definitely not the same feeling we got from the likes of like a DJ Reed. Nowhere near as bad as like a Laken Tomlinson. So smack dab in the middle, this probably lends itself to the argument of keeping Corey Davis that much more. But at least as it seems right now, the New York Jets are comfortable with Allen Lazard being the number 2. Whether that's just a lack of seeing reps from a guy like Corey Davis, or if it's the fact that they, that natural chemistry between Rodgers and Lazard has taken center stage early. We'll find out. But Allen Lazard needs to have a strong practice against a pretty solid cornerback group here in order to, cast away as many doubts as possible. Billy Turner, Mekhi Becton, these are also going to be names that we're looking at, right? Billy Turner has been swapping out starting duties with Mekhi Becton on the left side. And to be honest, while Mekhi Becton can't stay on the field, he's at least looked solid to anywhere from solid to great at various points during training camp. And then, of course, the small sample size we've seen during the Hall of Fame game. Billy Turner, on the other hand, hasn't had that same luxury. He did okay for a couple of the first few practices, and then lately he's been getting absolutely folded out there on the edge from the likes of Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. Bryce Huff is giving him the work pretty consistently. I think that UDFA Deslin Alexander also has been able to get by him pretty often. So much more of a turnstile than a strong option for us as our blindside protector, and something Aaron Rodgers is strongly probably going to have a few good words to say, right? Obviously, that's his longtime friend from back in Green Bay, but overall, Billy Turner has never been a solidly strong tackle option. He's had high upside, but injuries really wiped away what could have been kind of a promising career for him. So, again, as a guy that at least has the guard versatility, I'm sure he can find a way to stick around. But this is Mekhi Becton's chance to leapfrog him, especially with Dwayne Brown, as Robert Saleh mentioned, being a couple weeks away from showing up. This could be that opening window Mekhi Becton's been looking for to really prove to his coaching staff that I can stay on the field and that I can be your tackle of not only right now, but ideally for the future if it pans out for him. So he has a lot to prove to himself. Right now, this is purely an audition for 32 teams across the NFL, right? We've seen how things have panned out from the New York Jets perspective, but from the outside looking in, I'm sure it's even that much worse. So, with the joint practice, being able to face a different coaching staff, especially some of the talent that we'll talk about on that defensive line, this is going to be his best option to really go out there and prove his worth. Now, some of the matchups, some of the guys that we will need to be concerned about, right? Brian Burns is a guy that at one point when we thought the Carolina Panthers were going to be hitting a hard reset and dumping all of their talent, Brian Burns was a name that came up, and I I want to say at the time the GM was saying that it would take at least like 2 first rounders. After most of the coach speak or managers speak about not letting him go. But I believe at least the rumors indicated it would be at least 2 first rounders for anybody to peel him away from the Carolina Panthers, and he's definitely lived up to that, improving it. 38 career sacks, at 12.5 last season. One of the best young pass rushing talents out there. So, depending on where they want to try to line him up, if they want to play a little bit of chess and move him across, Mekhi Becton, Billy Turner, Max Mitchell, they all could draw some of these matchups here. But overall, for what has been kind of a shaky offensive line performance for the most part, keeping in mind this New York Jets defensive line is one of the best in the NFL as well. This will give us a good indicator. There's going to definitely be a fall off of talent. The Panthers aren't anywhere as deep as we are. So this will be a strong indication of what can our offensive line overcome, right? We're still not at full power, Dwayne Brown on the PUP. But again, a strong opportunity for Mekhi Becton. Max Mitchell can continue to insert himself as a viable starting candidate option on the right side, where he's been beaten up a little bit as well, but he's shown out much more than any of the other tackles at his position. So looking forward to that. Also on the inside, we'll have to see what kind of trickery they may come up with when it comes to Derek Brown. They can put him on the left side, at least if you want to talk about practice and matchups. It'll make the most sense. Maybe they can find an advantage with Wes Schweitzer coming in, depending on if Laken Tomlinson isn't ready to go right away. But if not, seeing a guy like Brown versus AVT will be awesome for us, especially to give us a pretty strong indication of how dominant he may be, or how close he may be to being a dominant right guard again. Granted, him coming back from that rotator tear cuff or the triceps injury, I can't remember exactly what it was, but generally it's been good things, right? A lot of our strong running plays and stuff have come off to the right side with him working with Max Mitchell, and if Joe Tippmann continues to get that promotion to the second string level, that'll only help this offensive line, right? I think he opened a lot of eyes, Joe Tippmann. So having 3 very athletic, versatile pieces between Mitchell, AVT, and Joe Tippmann out there for a certain point against a guy like Derek Brown here will be pretty entertaining in terms of matchups and seeing how that works out for us. Now, one of the other few things is going to be J.C. Horn. He was a guy that I want to say he surprised a lot as a rookie, right? Had himself a very, very good season. I'm trying to remember what he did. 53 tackles, 3 interceptions, 7 pass defenses. Couldn't complete the full season with a little bit of an injury there at the tail end. But the Panthers had to have walked away. Very, very happy seeing that, until what we saw with, Sauce Gardner definitely put them up there, and he still is in the top echelon of those rookie performances coming out at the cornerback position. So I'm interested to see who is he going to necessarily match up against. We may not try to roll out Garrett Wilson at full speed right away. We'll see what happens, but if not, then it goes to Allen Lazard. And this will be huge for him, because if he can look good against J.C. Horn, you feel much more confident about the prospects of him being a strong number 2 option, right? We've seen plenty of offenses across the NFL that their number 1 option is going to eat, right? They're going to get theirs. It depends on what that looks like, right? Maybe 50 yards and a touchdown. Maybe they're just consistently moving the chains. Even on certain games where maybe they only get 1 or 2 catches and it's not huge plays, it's not for touchdowns, they've been drawing coverage all game, and so you expect somebody like Allen Lazard to be able to break free. So we'll see if that actually happens. I'm actually interested to see who they end up trying to pit against too. When it comes to their cornerbacks, C.J. Henderson is really the only other guy that comes to mind outside of Dante Jackson. And if I recall, I think he's dealing with maybe a little injury thing. So either way, at least a solid duo to trio of cornerbacks for the Panthers. Again, they remember, this is a group that infamously sunk all of their draft picks into the defense. What was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? So they definitely have been able to amass quite a bit of talent over there. One of the last players that I would mention will be their addition of Miles Sanders. We've seen how we got rocked by the screen game, and Miles Sanders is a guy who's proven to be effective in all areas. So not only is he one of the more shifty or agile running backs that you'll find, you can see him decimate certain offenses if they get a little lackadaisical and they're not keeping track of where he is. So I'll be interested to see who draws that matchup. Will it be somebody like Jamian Sherwood? Will we see it be more of a guy like Quincy Williams? I doubt that that'll fall under CJ Mosley's umbrella, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. What matchups would you guys expect? Who are you most concerned about on the Panthers roster? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.